One Nation Underdog. I'm Mark Harvey. Today we're going to talk about international political economy. And we're going to talk about three different approaches to that. However, we'll be doing that over the period of three different videos. In the first video, we'll be talking about an approach to international political economy called liberalism. And understanding is important in terms of understanding not just the application of how countries try to engage in economics, but also how businesses adjust their approach to doing business internationally. We're going to talk about a theory called neoliberalism. Now, when I use the word neoliberalism, I'm not meaning liberal from sort of an American left-right perspective, okay? When I say the word liberal, I'm not like, the L word, it's crazy Democrats like you are out to get your tax money and stuff like that. No. Neoliberalism in economics refers to a free trade approach to international economics, where you're basically talking about, in some ways, eliminating regulations, trying to make the market as free as you possibly can, and specializing in products in order to try to take advantage of a market. You know, we're talking about, in some ways, really a maximum economic freedom.
What I'm really talking about are the people who follow Adam Smith's sort of invisible hand of the market idea.
What you see here is what I would call a protected trade scenario. That is, let's pretend that there are two countries in the world, the UK and France, and this is the amount of product that a country can produce for $1. So let's say that there's two countries in the world, UK and France, and two products, food and medicine, and the UK basically is able to make 5 bushels of food for $1 and 10 units of medicine for $1. Okay, France is able to make 4 bushels of food for $1 and only 3 units of medicine for $1. Which country's doing better in terms of their productivity?
Okay.
Okay, the UK clearly doing better on both of them, right? Let's just say, for example, that you have to make 50 units, within each country you have to make 50 units of food and 50 units of medicine in order to meet the demand that exists within your country, right? So in the case of the UK, you're making 50 units of food, and given their level of productivity, it's going to cost them $10 to make all that. Okay, medicine, using 50 units, they're even more efficient at that, 10 units. It only costs them $5 to do that. So their total cost, the expenses they put out in order to meet that demand, is $15. France, not nearly as efficient, of course, in this case. Food, you're basically doing it at, again, let's assume that they need 50 units, same as the UK. At 4 units, that's a total cost of $12.50. Medicine, they can only do 3 for $1, right? So $16.67. So the total cost for them to provide all of those things to meet the demand within their country is $29.17. You follow me on this so far? Okay. So under these circumstances, is there an incentive to engage in trade? Again, like I said, probably not under these circumstances. You know, if the UK was that much more efficient, would the French realistically want to let them in and sort of, you know, undercut them or take advantage of them in some way? Probably not. Would the French even be able to go to the UK and sort of enter that market and do well at all? Maybe not. So under this scenario, it seems like, at the outset anyway, it wouldn't make any sense to trade. Enter this notion of neoliberalism or free trade. And if you assume some of these principles, then there may be an opportunity to engage in trade, even under that sort of scenario, which we'll return to here shortly. Neoliberal or free trade basically assumes that potential world production is greater with unrestricted free trade than it is with restricted trade. It argues comparative advantage. They specialize in what they're best at and import other products. And the bottom line basically is that it makes sense for a country to specialize in the production of the things that it does most efficiently, and to buy the goods that it produces less efficiently from other countries. Okay, make sense? Okay. Well, let's take the same scenario, and rather than just treating it as a conundrum that we can't get out of, let's apply some of these free trade strategies and see what happens. So in this case, let's assume now that to meet the demand of both countries, each country is going to specialize in the thing that they are relatively better at. That is relatively better within their own country. So between food and medicine, which thing is the UK better at?
Medicine.
They're better at medicine, right? So let's let the UK specialize in medicine, and out of the two, which is France better at? They're better at food than they are at medicine, right? Now, under this scenario, they're worse than the UK at both, But see, this is a great case to sort of see whether or not there's any advantages for France even to get in the game. So if you follow the logic, the results of free trade, the UK now has to make 100 units of medicine. That is, make 50 for their country and basically export the other 50, right? And France is now going to do the same thing for food. They're going to create 100 units, right, 50 for their population, but also then export the other 50 of food. And if you follow the logic of that, a total of 100 units at the level of productivity, basically 10 for a dollar, it costs the UK $10 to make all of the medicine for the entire system. And France, in this case, if they specialize in food and they're making 100 units of it at basically 4 for a dollar, it's going to cost them $25. Now look at the cost difference that happened, right? As a result of free trade, the UK, by specializing in what they're good at, now is running a cost of $10 to make all this stuff, whereas it was $15 before, right? They're saving $5 essentially under this model by simply specializing. France, same deal. Look, they're worse at both of these things than the UK is, right? But if they just specialize in the thing that they are relatively good at food, then their cost goes down to $25, whereas it was $29.17 before. Both countries gain as a result of specialization and as a result of engaging in free trade. You're meeting a demand and you're focusing on that, and you know, if you reduce your costs, then you'll also be able to increase your profits, right? Right now, France isn't, I mean, they could potentially increase their profits by cutting their costs. And the UK could increase their profits by cutting their costs. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about a French citizen or a British citizen in this case. You know, you're just enlarging the number of people that you're selling to. You know, to assume, and again, this is a globalization free trade perspective, to assume that that boundary line or that channel between the UK and France means anything it's a misnomer, right? You know, you got people who need food and medicine in both countries. And so if you just do whatever it is that you're good at, then you're going to increase your efficiencies and thus increase your profits too.
A country specializes in that which it's good at, industrially or in terms of business or whatever, and then actually engages in free trade without the aspects of protectionism, they're going to end up saving a lot of money in the long run, avoiding losses, making money, enhancing their security. The list goes on and on.
You may, in your own country, not find anybody who wants whatever it is that you've got to sell. And simply by opening the size of the market, automatically you expose that product to people who may want it now. Do you have to change the nature of that product in order to be able to sell it now?
No.
No. You can take the exact same product that doesn't sell in your country and just simply go someplace else with it, and it's got value someplace else. You follow? So it's just simply the act of expanding your market that makes probably the largest difference in terms of the amount of profit that you're able to make on that. No tricks up my sleeve. You're still not totally sold on it.
I'm not totally sold on it, but
That's
I
okay.
get the.
That's okay, because in 2 weeks you'll be absolutely right. Okay. I'm not joking. Like tonight, this is what I'm defending. This is a position that, you know, this is what a free trade neoliberal economist would say as far as explaining why free trade is awesome. Okay? In 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you why it's stupid and wrong, and you know there are problems with it. You know, I think you're dancing around some of the problems.
Okay.
You know, you're right to question this. Okay, but think a little bit more over the next couple of weeks about what some of these problems might be, because there are problems here. I'm just not going to talk about them yet. So does this make sense?
What are you saying?